Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Galactic Citrus Podcast with your host, me, Lime, and this other person who's with me. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dina, otherwise known as Starles.
Not the
This is
host. I'm
also.
the host.
Okay, well, this is also episode 3 of the podcast,
What
which
she
you
said.
didn't mention, but that's fine.
Sorry, this is why I don't do intros.
You were the one who volunteered to do it this
Yeah?
time.
I thought I'd give you a break.
Yeah, okay, a break from the past 2 episodes. Only
Yeah,
2 episodes.
fine, I'll never do the intro again. How about that? You want to
Alright,
give me a hard
you've
time
heard it
about
here
it?
first.
God. So, what's on the agenda today, Star? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, you can start talking about your morning.
Yeah, I had an injury this morning. I say injury very loosely. Um, so you know how, well, I'm sure everybody has experience where you just like sleep funny and you wake up and you just like your neck hurts, right?
Yeah, that's happened to me before,
Well, I had that,
multiple
but
times.
I would say like times five, right? So like it happens to me, I would say somewhat frequently. This was like the worst I've ever had it though, where I was laying in bed, I woke up at like 7:30 in the morning. I had slept for maybe 5 hours, which is a fair amount of time, but not. I usually sleep for more than that. Um, that's a different story for a different day. Um, so like I turned my head and all of a sudden I feel like this really sharp pain in my neck, and like I could kind of feel that my neck was sore before that, but like as I turned my head I felt a super sharp pain in my neck. One of the worst pains I've ever felt, I would say, almost. We'll get to the worst pain I've ever felt though later, I can assure you. um and so I was just laying there for a second, and every time I like tried to turn my head, I felt this pain. It only lasted for a couple seconds at a time. So then I, sat up, and as I was sitting up, I felt it again, and so it's just like, okay, I don't really know what to do. I just stayed awake from that point. I went on the computer. I took a shower, thinking it might help. It really didn't. I think I made a mistake and went back to bed at some point, thinking maybe I'll just sleep it off. And when I got up out of bed again, I felt that sharp pain, and I felt it like every time I would move my head in a certain way. Um, so that's what I've been dealing with all day. Actually, I feel a little bad because I called out of work, because of this. Because like first of all, I didn't want to drive if I was gonna feel like this. Because every time that really sharp pain hit, I would like tense up for a couple seconds, and I didn't want to drive if I was gonna be feeling like that. Um,
Well, I still don't think you should feel bad for calling out of
I
work,
what I
especially
feel
when
bad
you don't
about
feel good.
is I when I explained it to them, I was like, I woke up with this terrible pain in my neck, and, and like if I was on the other end, it's possible that I would think, oh, this person's just making up an excuse, like neck pains in the morning. Everybody gets that. At least that's my thought process behind why I feel bad. Um, I did go to the doctor, and he said, he just twisted it, something like that. He prescribed me uh, some muscle relaxers, which I'm not taking yet until I go to bed because I'm only supposed to take once a day. Uh, yeah, at bedtime even. The bottle's right next to me. Um, so I've also been taking like ibuprofen just because it hurts, but ibuprofen doesn't stop it from hurting completely, but it dulls it enough that it's manageable. And he said, if if it still hurts in a week, you should come back and see if there's anything we can do about it. So I'm gonna do that. It's already not as bad as it was this morning, I would say, but it still hurts when I move my head in a certain way. Um, that's what I've been dealing with all day.
Yeah, my day has not been that painful. I woke up and went to class. I guess class is painful, just
Painful,
not
yeah,
physically.
yeah. Oh no, it can be physically painful.
That's fair.
I
It,
die on the
it was more
inside every time I
mentally
have to go to
painful.
class.
It was a lot more mentally painful today. I
Yeah.
spent like 3 hours trying to troubleshoot a blueprint code because I work in Unreal Engine 4
Okay.
and we're prototyping games that we're pitching for senior thesis, and so
Aren't
I
you
was in
only a
charge of,
junior?
yeah,
Okay,
but
go on.
we're still pitching we're pitching games so that we can work on it senior year.
Got
And
it,
so we're
got
doing
it.
all
I
the
see.
pre-production stuff this semester. But so I was programming a clock feature, a 12-hour clock feature that I can put on the HUD to be displayed in the top right corner.
Okay.
And so I had managed to program that, and I was trying to pause it, and I was having so much trouble just trying to figure out how to pause it, and it took me like 3 hours plus the help of my friend to
Mm-hmm.
finally figure out how to do that. And then my teacher just looks at it and goes, "Okay." So that like I was
Adding
not
insult to
happy.
injury. Insult to injury.
It's like, all right, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah,
Uh, keep going. And that just made me feel so bad.
yeah, I mean, I get it.
But
I would
yeah,
feel bad too. I've taken computer science classes not for artistic purposes, but I've had my code critiqued before.
yeah.
Um,
So that's mental misery aside.
yeah.
Have you ever had any like physical injuries that have landed you in the hospital?
Um, well, I'll start off tame. Something that I probably should have maybe gone to the hospital or at least gotten checked out, but didn't. Um, all right. So I should preface this by saying I'm a naturally nervous person. I have like a lot of nervous energy, I guess is the way to describe it. So like if I'm at a computer or sitting down or something, I like my body always has to be doing something. Like I'll shit, my leg will shake. I don't know if you get that or if anybody watching gets that, where like your leg will just bounce up and down pretty much super fast. My legs will do that. Or like I have to hold hold on to something, like click a pen or something like that. There was a while where I would chew on paper. As weird as it sounds, that was what I did to kind of like calm my nerves. Um, I don't know if calming my nerves is necessarily the best way to describe that, but just to get rid of like this energy. Um, so one time, this was before I even had my own computer. My parents were out of the house, and I wasn't doing anything illicit. I can assure you. I was sitting at the computer doing, I don't even remember what. It's probably like watching videos on YouTube, and there was a stapler on the desk. So I started just like I had it in my hand, and I just started like tapping it. Like I not pressing it down completely to the point where it would staple something, but I just started like tapping it. So it would make the sounds like you could hear the metal against the metal. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna open this up,
Did you
and
staple yourself?
well, you know how like most like desk staplers they fold open to when you go to put more
Yeah.
stuff in it. So I did that without actually opening it. Like because you could also fold it open if you wanted to like staple something to a wall. Um, I did it to like as if I was stapling something to a wall, and I was like, okay, I wasn't thinking. I put my thumb over where the staple comes out, and I was just like clicking it lightly, not pressing it in all the way, because obviously I would staple myself, right?
Aw.
Why would I do that? So as I was saying, I wasn't thinking, and lo and behold, a staple in my thumb is what happens next. Um, I don't remember it really hurting a lot. Honestly, I just pulled it right out. There were like two holes, obviously, because that's how staples work, and only a little bit of blood came out. My parents got home, and I was like, "Don't worry, guys, I pulled the staple out." And that was the first thing I said to them when they got home.
Okay. Wait. So going back to the paper munching,
Yeah,
why paper?
it was
Like,
just on. We had like
do you
just
have
scrap
gum?
paper on the desk. So, like, this is. I don't know why. It just I
I
started
just
doing it once, and then it was a habit that happens for a
I just
little
feel
while.
like gum would taste so much
Yeah, but
better.
there wasn't gum on the desk. There was paper on the desk.
Well, why didn't you carry gum?
I don't know, stars. This was like
All right. I'm not gonna
I
shame
was like
you
15 or
for.
16 when this when this
I'll
was
stop
going
shaming
on.
you for chewing on paper.
Um, so that was an injury that maybe I should have gotten. I don't know about the hospital, but gotten checked out. I've never really like broken a bone or anything, or
Neither have I.
I've only been in the
I've
hospital. Oh, go on.
I've never been in the hospital.
Okay.
Like I've never had to because I guess any injuries that I've gotten have been like minor injuries.
Yeah, yeah, like maybe
Like
like
I'll
a
cut
scratch.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll cut myself when
Oh,
cooking or like just opening cans.
that just reminded me of something else. Two things actually. I remember when I was really young, like probably like 5 or 6, maybe even younger than that. You know how I was saying how like I have a lot of nervous energy? Well, young me was like exactly the same. So one thing I used to do is I used to like that was my phone just buzzing. Um, I used to I don't know a good way of describing it other than chewing on cans, like cans of soda, empty cans of soda, but in a way that I only put one side in my mouth, and as I was chewing it, it got really sharp. And I remember once, when I was very young, somebody pulled the can of soda out of my hand, and I got a big cut across my palm.
Ow.
Um, oh, I just remembered another injury from when I was really young, but I'll tell this other one first. I was helping my mom make salad and cutting carrots with like the slicer thing, and I accidentally sliced like the tip of my finger off. Ooh, I don't know why all this stuff is coming back to me now.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never sliced a finger off, but I've
well, I
witnessed
didn't
some.
slice my finger off.
Well, you just said you sliced your
Just a
finger off.
like not
Okay,
even
so
not
so
even deep enough to
you
the
didn't.
bone. I sliced a number of layers off, like
Okay, so
layers
your
of
finger
skin
didn't
off.
literally come
When
off.
I say the tip of my finger, I mean like just a couple layers of skin, enough to
Okay,
bleed, but not enough to like see bone or anything.
well, the way you phrased it, it sounded like
Sorry,
you cut off your
sorry.
finger.
In my
But
head, I know what I mean by the tip of my finger.
okay, but if since we're on the topic of finger cutting, this didn't happen to me, but someone in my class. But when I was in middle school, we had a woodworking class, and so I remember someone was using the bandsaw, like the like big circular saw that you bring down, and they like brought the saw down right onto their finger, and I was supposed to cut
Oof.
my slice of wood right after, and I just couldn't use that saw for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that.
It's like scarred for life right there.
Um, Another thing that happened to me when this was before I was even in kindergarten. I had to have been like 3 years old. I honestly barely remember it. If I'm can be completely honest, I don't even know if my quote unquote memories of it are just really me remembering what people told me about when it happened. I know it happened. I sort of have a vague recollection of the setting, like just the general setting of when this happened, like the area I was in, but not the actual act of it happening. I was in preschool. My parents put me in a preschool because both of them worked during the day, so they sent me to preschool before kindergarten. Um, and there were bathrooms in the preschool. This is a little personal, but maybe you have a good idea where this is going. So as a person with a penis, I put the seat up to pee, and one day as I was peeing, the seat fell on me, and
Okay.
I had a bruised willy for a while.
See, I can't relate to that, so
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sure that hurt and that sounds painful.
I mean, I don't. I like I said, I don't remember it considerably well. Um, but that's a thing that happened to me in my life. I would say probably the most painful experience I've ever had, though. Not an injury, but more so a disease, illness. Um, was I well, I'll start by asking you this, Star. Have you ever had the chicken pox?
No.
Okay, I haven't either, but I have had is shingles, which
Ah, okay.
um as far as I understand it, it is basically chickenpox on steroids. Um, and I can believe that. Um, I I'll let me set the scene for you. So I woke up one morning. This was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, so it would have been what, 2009. And I remember this time pretty well because it was right before Columbus Day weekend, so it was early my sophomore year. Um, I woke up one morning, and you know how I was talking about how sometimes you just don't sleep well, so you ache in an area.
Yeah.
I had this ache like on the right side back of my hip. So I was like, okay, I just slept weird. Um, it'll go away. It didn't go away. After the next night, so I was just like, okay, it's still aching because I probably didn't sleep well again or something like that. And then I noticed like a small, like almost like a rash on there. It was just like, okay, it's a rash. It's just a coincidence that it happens to be in the same area. So I didn't think anything. I was just like, these are just, I didn't sleep well, blah 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 blah. The rash started to get like kind of like a pimple in it almost after another day. I was like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. I'm paraphrasing. I honestly didn't think much of it. I was just like, I'm a teenager. I get pimples. um, not in the area I did get shingles, but whatever. So like the pain didn't go away. It only really started getting worse. So it's Columbus Day weekend. I think we got like a half day off, or it wasn't a full week of school that week anyway. So we actually went down the shore to. For those of you who don't live in New Jersey, down the shore just means southern New Jersey towards the coast. Um, so we went down the shore to my uncle's house because he lives down there. We stayed over. This was actually when he first got the house, so we were actually like, it wasn't even fully furnished, so we were actually just like in sleeping bags, sleeping on the floor while we were down there. Uh, so we went down there. We would go down that way pretty much every Columbus Day weekend because there was always a Columbus Day parade um, down in that area. Um, I won't give specifics, but it's a popular area in coastal New Jersey. That's all I'll say. Um, so while we were there, like the pain only got worse, and um, there was one night where I just could not fall asleep, and I was basically crying in a sleeping bag on the floor to my mom, saying like, I need to go to the hospital. And I was very hesitant before then because like in my head, going to the hospital means that there's something wrong with you, and if there's something wrong with you, that means that I could die. And it's just like,
Interesting.
okay, like you get that rationale though, especially when you're in pain like that. Well, I don't know if you've ever been in pain like the way I was in pain, but
I mean,
that
probably
was
not.
that was how my mind was working at the time. Like going to the hospital kind of legitimizes what's going on, and yeah, um, I'm granted it was a legitimate thing. Um, so we went to the hospital. It had to have been like 2 in the morning or something like that. Um, to the emergency room, and they drew some blood, took a urine sample. Um, Later that night, I found out I have shingles, which was unpleasant, very painful. I would not recommend looking up pictures of it because it is disgusting looking. To put it in perspective, it was almost like it wasn't like pimples. It was like just bubbles of skin that cropped up all along the side of my hip and kind of down a little bit onto my leg and towards my crotch area, but thankfully not on any important business. Um,
Was it more painful or itchy?
it was a mixture of both. It was very painful. It was like a throbbing pain that I could feel. Like I said, it didn't touch my genitals in any way, but I could feel it in my genitals very badly. Um, it was easily the most painful thing I have ever gone through, and I would not wish that upon anyone. Um, I actually missed school for a week, probably the only week that I ever missed. The only time I ever missed any of high school for for something unrelated to school. Like there were a couple classes I took where like, okay, we're going on a trip somewhere, and I don't consider that missing school, you know.
Yeah.
Um, what's interesting, maybe a little unfortunate, but I've learned to deal with it, is that the I won't say the pain hasn't gone away, but the itchiness has not gone away from that
Ooh.
area. So I don't notice it as much anymore. Because this was, like I said, it was 2009 when I had it, so almost 10 years ago, which is weird to think about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, that area, if I start scratching that area, it is very hard to stop, and it gets really itchy, especially in the summer when it's hot out and it gets sweaty. Um, it's something I've learned to deal with. Um, most of the time, I don't even notice it anymore. It's only really once I start scratching it that it really becomes a problem. Um, and yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I've never had anything that bad. Like the worst I get are just headaches and migraines, which I get pretty frequently
Mhm.
because I'm very stressed a lot.
Yeah.
But I've I just deal with that. I usually sleep it off as much as I can. Not
Yeah.
that I sleep,
Yeah. Well.
but when you were mentioning being unable to sleep, it
Mhm.
reminded me of like every time I go back to Taiwan, I just get bit by mosquitoes
Yeah. Well, mosquitoes
nonstop,
are God's
and
gift to mankind.
it's the worst. It doesn't matter where I go. I remember we went on a trip to Puerto Rico, and we it was like the middle of the night, and we had gone on a boat out in the middle of the ocean, or not middle of the ocean, the middle of a bay. The bay
Mhm.
was called Mosquito Bay, but we didn't know that at the time. So none of us had bug spray. We were going because we wanted to see these like bioluminescent fish and organisms in the water, as well as like the constellations if the sky was clear. It wasn't very clear, and I was disappointed because I love stars. But I came back with like 50 mosquito bites. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah.
And that week was just hell because I couldn't sleep. It was so itchy. And they were like mostly on my legs too. But I remember like last semester I went on a trip for a liberal arts class, and we went by some like shore, and there were a bunch of mosquitoes there too, and I got bit like mad there also. And I think I sent you pictures, or I sent like
Um.
a couple people
I don't know
pictures
that
when
you
I talked
did.
about it, but it was bad. And I
Yeah.
get like little
Mosquitoes are
scars.
terrible.
I get little scars from them because they don't go away very quickly for me. And I just have to deal with that for like half a year.
Yeah. I I get scars a lot because I do what you shouldn't do with like scabs and stuff and pick at them. I think that's honestly part of why I still have some itchiness from when I had shingles, because eventually those bubbles start to scab over, and I would just pick at them. Because I have a lot of nervous energy, like I said, I'm bringing this ball back around, and if I have a scab, I will start picking at it and picking at it. So I get scars a lot from doing that, and I know you shouldn't, but oh god, nobody wants to see my back. Because remember I was talking about pimples before. Yeah, I didn't get pimples on my face. I got pimples on my back.
Interesting. At least you can hide them that way.
Yeah. A lot of, and the scars fade over time, and I don't get I still get pimples back there, but not nearly as bad as I used to.
But yeah, like I did my best to not scratch at the mosquito bites, and I did a pretty good job at that, but they stayed anyways, even if I didn't scratch them.
Yeah. So what I'm told is that if you take your fingernails and make an X on the mosquito bite, it doesn't itch. I don't know how true that is.
That is not true.
Yeah.
At least
What
not
I
for me.
find helps them to not itch is to not scratch at them.
Yeah, for sure.
Although that
And
takes a
like,
lot of self-control. which I do not have.
And like sometimes I would just put ice packs over them. But I know like Cala Clear or like Cala Lotion or something. That stuff works really well
I
for me.
have never heard of that.
Like the pink stuff. Or like calamine rather.
Oh,
The
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
clear stuff is like Cala Clear or something. But yeah.
Sorry, I'm responding to a text. I probably shouldn't be doing it in the middle of the
Wow, I see
podcast,
how it
but
is.
hey, I'm listening. I'm still making conversation. The problem is, I have a flip phone, and it takes me about 5 hours to type out 5 words.
You're probably the only person I
Oh
know
yeah.
that still has a flip phone,
If
and
it
you're
ain't
not
broke, don't
even
fix
that
it.
much older than me. I don't
Uh,
know. If there's one thing I miss about old phones, it's the keyboard. I really liked the feeling of the keyboard, and like even though
keyboard.
I
What do you mean
yeah
keyboard? I have to press the
like
letter
I had a
six.
slide phone.
I have to press the number
I,
6 3 times just to type the letter O.
no, well, you have a flip phone. I'm talking about
Oh,
like
okay.
my phone
Oh
before
yeah, as opposed to like a
the
touch
current one
screen, right?
was like a slide phone, and there was a keyboard in there, and that was really cool.
Yeah, see, I'm not opposed to getting a smartphone should this phone die at some point. Well, the thing I don't like about smartphones is I'm not really fond of touchscreens.
Well, I think it's handy. It's pretty
Yeah,
convenient
I mean, I get why they're
overall.
popular. I just, they don't do it for me.
But I mean, I also like drawing, and having the ability to draw on the phone's pretty cool. And just I don't know, it's convenient for me.
Yeah, I get the convenience.
It's just the downside is battery life, and I'm sure you don't have problems with battery life.
Um, Debatable. If I have been texting somebody a lot, the battery life won't last so long, or if I have a lot of alarms set, the batteries. And when I say won't last long, I mean I'll have to charge it once a week, maybe. But I also don't use my phone a lot.
Yeah, and I charge my phone every day, so that's the difference.
Yeah. Well, you can always get those things like those big,
Power banks?
yeah, or a
Yeah, but
portable
you're
charger.
still
You get
yeah, but
those
you're
too.
still charging your phone.
Yeah, but I mean a portable
The
charger is a pretty.
concept
Sorry.
I was just
No, go
saying
on, go
like
on.
the concept of like charging once a week versus charging every day,
Yeah,
portable or not. I'm still charging my phone. It's
yeah.
still draining battery.
Well, I mean this phone is also. God, I think I've had it through almost no. I think I got it when I was in college actually. So I have memories of using my previous phone in college, my freshman year. But it's a number of years old at this point. So I mean, as phones and anything that uses a battery gets older, the battery life doesn't stay isn't as it, um battery
Not as good
life
as it once was.
decreases.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Maybe it's time for you to get a smartphone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's not like I'm gonna use most of the stuff that um that it has the capability of doing. Um, but it would be nice to get a little with the times, if only because it feels kind of weird being so limited with, especially like texting stuff. Because like I'm still typing out this one text, and I have only 160 characters with which to use. And there's also a very heavy limit on how many texts my phone can hold before I have to go through them all and delete them.
Yeah, it's like I like my smartphone because like it's just you can take really nice pictures with them. And like I have the Pixel too, so I really appreciate the storage system of how it goes directly to Google Drive. And that's super useful for me because I like taking pictures of scenery and things of that sort. Just because I don't like taking pictures of myself, and it's good reference in general
Yeah,
for when you're drawing. But the camera's really nice. I like being able to browse the internet when I'm outside because I don't have a social life.
see, I would only use internet on my phone if I had access to Wi-Fi. I wouldn't want to waste precious data.
And that's also fair, but I'm on campus all the time
Yeah, so
anyways.
you don't have to worry about that too much.
Yeah. And it's nice having Discord just
Yeah, for
out
sure.
and about.
So I
So
can
just like
so you can
like
bug me.
little yeah, as if I bug you.
Here,
See, what you guys don't know is
let
that
me
Lime and I talk like once a week
let
and
me
on
see,
this
let me see.
podcast.
Let me
This is
see.
like the extent of our
Hang on,
conversations.
hang on. I said no, hang on. Before even
What?
that, I think I said to I think every night this week, pretty much, I said to Star, you should play Overwatch with me, and she
Oh
said
yeah.
no.
That's
um,
well,
but also Star was like, oh, since you're home, you should think of podcast topics, which I didn't do. And then
yeah.
and then later
And
on,
so
I
instead,
said to Star, hey, you should think of podcast topics, and she was basically like, I hate my life.
basically, Lime's a bully, and Lime's always a
No,
bully.
I am not. I
Lime
did.
messages me while I'm in class, while
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out
you were messaging me while I
homework,
was
while I'm
injured.
mentally exhausted, and here he
You
is
think I'm not
telling me to come
mentally
up with
exhausted?
podcast questions.
Anyway, I also sent Star a long wall of text today complaining about. Actually, I don't know if I want to say this because I don't want to incur the wrath of a certain subset of individuals.
Basically, Lime was being like, I'm gonna rant about Overwatch, and he ranted about Overwatch.
Yeah,
That's it.
let's just say. Nah, I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna go there. I'm afraid, Star. I like.
Coward. No, but,
You gotta admit, it's pretty annoying.
um, I have no opinion. I don't really care.
Well, you don't look at the Overwatch subreddit the way I do.
Yeah, I don't look at the
Okay,
Overwatch subreddit. I don't
I have to
care.
say it, Star.
Okay, then go.
Mercy mains on the subreddit annoy me to all heck. There, I said it. I said it.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Okay.
all. That's all I'll go. That's as far as I'll go.
That's it? You're not going to talk about how you like Junkrat as a hero?
Well, Junkrat's great.
Yeah. In your rant, you mentioned Junkrat's cool.
Well,
And
okay.
then you also said,
I
Mercy mains on the subreddit.
okay.
They
All right. All
suck.
right. Okay. Let me.
And
You're
okay.
digging this hole for me, Star.
I am digging this
Okay.
hole
Let
for
me
you.
explain.
Go
So I
on.
was comparing Junkrat and Mercy in the way that some more toxic people in the Overwatch community view them as heroes, as in the sense that they have no skill, uh, that they require no skill to play, which I disagree in both regards. So I basically started by saying to Star, like, people who argue that Mercy takes a whole lot of skill, but also say that Junkrat doesn't, um, amuses me. Um, so, uh, essentially, I don't think that either of them require no skill. I think they're both easy heroes to pick up and do the bare minimum of work to get value out of, but I think they're much harder to do very well with. Um, and then I went on a tangent about, and then I was going on about how, but although they share this one aspect within the community, Mercy mains uh, tend to get viewed still differently. Or no, not Mercy. Mercy still tends to get viewed differently because of the anomaly. No, what's the word for it? The prevalence of Mercy mains on in places like the subreddit who will basically just upvote anything that says anything positive about Mercy mains or Mercy, and downvote anything remotely negative, such as the example I put. I don't like the yellow on her wings. Negative 9,000 points. Um, so that's something that just I just find it really annoying. People can have whatever the opinions they want. I really don't care. Just when I have to see it over and over and over and over and over and over again, it gets tiring after a while.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't browse the Overwatch Reddit, I can't really give my opinion on the community. But I used to main Mercy for a long time,
Well, I appreciate you as a Mercy main, because
and
I think you
I
do it well.
and even though I've played Mercy, I've also played Junkrat, and so
Yeah.
I acknowledge that these are both heroes that are pretty easy to pick up because Mercy, you like hold down a button and you heal someone. Junkrat, you can hold down
Yeah.
a button and just launch
Yeah.
like
Well,
launch bombs.
I
But
suppose.
but
Go on.
past
Go on.
past that, it's not that easy. Like
No.
I can't master Junkrat because I'm not good at him. There's like
Yeah.
certain combos you can do that do a lot of damage, but I'm just not a good Junkrat
In
player.
the same way, I cannot play Mercy worth a dang.
Yeah, but I acknowledge that Junkrat's not an easy character. It's just it's like with all the heroes, they all require like a unique mindset and
Yeah.
they're all played slightly differently.
I
And
suppose.
with
Go on.
Mercy, it's really easy to bash on Mercy, but
For sure.
I feel like a lot of people emphasize or like a lot of people play Mercy and then complain and complain.
Yeah.
And
So
that's always left a bad taste in my mouth as
that's
someone
what
who
I'm.
likes playing Mercy because it's one of those things where like you shouldn't play her for the sake of complaining about playing her. If
Yeah.
you like Mercy, then play her. And if people give you shit about it, if people give you shit for it, it's know that it's probably not on you, and that like it's just people being assholes or people not understanding that it's not just click one button to heal.
Absolutely. That's
It's
actually.
just it's just Mercy is really easy to victimize, and so
Well,
people take advantage of that
that brings me
because
to what I part of what I find annoying is it seems like a lot of Mercy players, and I'm only saying this as we've all seen it, right? Uh, and I'm not like if Mercy's your favorite hero, if you're a Mercy main, more power to you. Like you do you, and play what you enjoy. I notice this a lot more so than any other hero is that a lot of people who play Mercy, who have Mercy as their main, seem to have a something of a victim complex while also having a superiority complex, which is strange. But they always seem to act like, oh, nobody wants me to play Mercy. Everybody hates me because I play Mercy. But at the same time, they also have this I'm going to play God over everyone. Um,
well, at the
if
same time, I think it's unfair to say that a lot of Mercies feel this way because I feel
you're
like it's
right,
the vocal minority.
you're absolutely right. I
There's
shouldn't
there's
say
plenty of Mercies that play and just play the game and do a good job and have fun.
and you're
But
absolutely
then
right in that.
there's just
It's
like it's kind of like I don't want to make this reference, but it's like how some people are just very over the top with views. Like sometimes Tumblr can take things out of
oh yeah,
proportion,
careful Star. We're
and
treading on dangerous territory here.
and it's just like certain aspects of certain communities go a little too far sometimes,
I
and I
agree.
feel like even though I don't browse the subreddit for Overwatch, I feel like what you're talking about can relate in that
Yeah,
there's that small population of mercies that just like to complain
yeah.
and
You
while it's true and I've personally seen it happen sometimes, people do give us a lot of shit, but they
absolutely.
give everyone a lot of shit
Yeah,
too. It's not just us. It's really easy to pin the blame on a healer,
for
and
sure. And I
that's
like
why it's so prevalent.
yeah, like I usually play tank and healer when I play Overwatch, so I absolutely get the hate that healers get sometimes, or the frustration of playing healer and having a team that just will not cooperate or something like that. And you're 100% right. Like I don't want to make it seem like this is all Mercy mains or all or most Mercy mains. It's definitely a small subset of Overwatch players in general who do this, but they are very vocal about it, and it it feels like it's a lot more prevalent than it really is. And I guess that's what I find annoying about it. What I also find annoying is and I've been there. Like you're really frustrated because the team's not cooperating as a heal, and you're the healer trying to heal them. When people will say, "Oh, you're gonna spam I need healing and not come to me," well, I'm just not gonna heal you then. That's called being a bad teammate. right? Like, admittedly, there's times where a person just can't get to you, and that's their fault, maybe that's your fault. Um, but like, don't be a dick because of it, right? I mean, granted, the other
Well,
person should not be a dick either.
okay, well, if it's quick play and someone's trash talking me, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
heal them.
Oh, yeah. I get that. I get it.
If it's
I've
competitive,
been
I
there.
don't want to heal them, but I don't want to
I
lose.
get it. But like, I don't know if it's necessarily always a case of if you need healing, you should come to me. I think in general, players should always be flexible about coming to their teammates to help, not to say, "Oh, I'm the center of attention here. Come to me." I also have mixed feelings about the protector healer mindset. While yes, it's good to protect your healers, it's also good to protect your team.
Well,
And
I
there's
think I think with the whole protect your healers thing, what how I take that is have map awareness,
yeah,
because oftentimes I'll be playing healer, and if I'm playing someone like Mercy, to safety, but if no one's around me, that's the problem. It's not that I can't take care of myself. It's
yeah,
just if there's a Reaper on me,
for
then I'd
sure.
really like to be able to fly a little bit.
Yeah,
Like I
but
can shoot them with my pistol, but I can't get away.
I think it's also important to recognize as the support that sometimes you're getting demolished by the enemy flankers, and sometimes there's just nothing your teammates can really do to help you.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
sometimes there's also nothing you can do.
Yeah,
If you're getting flanked and you can't fly to someone,
yeah,
then that's not necessarily your fault unless you're very out of position.
yeah.
And it's just situational. It's healers are hard to
I
play.
guess
Everyone's hard to play. You
I
just
guess what I want to say is it's usually a lot more complicated than always protect your healers or something like
yeah.
that.
But I mean that's just the phrase, right? It's
Yeah,
like it's just
you gotta protect your
it's just one of
DPS
those
too.
things where like people say target the healers, and yeah, that's something you should be doing. Protect the healers, have map awareness.
Yeah,
I take that as just be aware, know where your healers are.
yeah,
But I mean, everyone takes it differently, right?
yeah. It's one of those mindsets that I see in other people that frustrates me.
But I
Um,
mean, there's difficult people in any game you play, especially
yeah,
games that require teamwork and require like competitiveness.
yeah,
It's like there's always going to be someone who's uncooperative or toxic,
yeah,
and unfortunately, that's just how it is.
yeah.
That's just
I mean, I
how the
think we could
environment
strive to do better.
is overall. Well,
Um,
yeah, for sure. I
like,
think it's a good thing when people are nice to each other.
yeah,
And
in
I think Blizzard's definitely tried to take steps to make things better, but it's just difficult to change that kind of mentality when it's been around for so
well,
long.
my feeling on that, and you probably have seen this from me from back in our DVZ days, where you always kind of want to lead by example, right? People start doing awful things. They start being dicks to each other because they see other people, the more well-known people doing that to each other. So like in DVZ, you would see a lot of the longtime veteran players being absolute asshats to newer players. So these newer players, as they start getting more comfortable and familiar with the scenario, assuming they don't just get completely frustrated from having people being dicks to them, um, will start to do the same thing. So like my thought was always like, you know, I'm going to try and be nice to everyone, even if I say nice. I'm gonna mind my own business most of the time, but when I see an opportunity where somebody needs to be defended because they're being I don't even know a good way to say
Well,
this, being harassed by other players, like yeah, I'm gonna defend them because that's really uncalled for, and you're setting a super bad example for other people. Because when that stuff goes unpunished, when people don't take the time to say no, this isn't okay, people are gonna start saying yeah, it's okay to do this, and that's what causes the problem.
I also think it's situational because sometimes you don't want to fuel that fire,
Oh yeah,
and
I
a
will
lot of times
never
people
argue
don't
with the
need
person
to.
doing the harassing.
Yeah, but a lot of times I don't think people need to be defended. They can defend themselves. So what I like doing is I like sending people like a PM or something
That's what I do
if
as
they're
well.
being harassed. and just let them know if I think they're a good player that they're a good player, and hey, just don't let people like that get you down. Because I know it's frustrating,
That's also what I
and I'm
do.
sure you know it's frustrating when
Yeah.
people are just like trash talking you when you're doing fine. And even if you're not doing fine, when people are just taking it out on you,
When
that gets annoying.
yeah, when I do see, the only time I will speak up in like a in like in game chat, not direct or speak in general to people, is when I see a lot of people doing something that really is setting a poor example and frankly shouldn't be allowed. That's usually when I'll be like, hey, guys, doing this thing isn't really cool and it's kind of, ruining the fun for other people. I don't always say that in game necessarily. I know I've made many comments on the DBZ subreddit, just being like, people who are doing this, and this is kind of ruining the fun for people. And like, I totally get that. That's how these individuals who are doing it have fun, but you shouldn't do something for your own enjoyment at the expense of everybody else's enjoyment.
Yeah, well, you should never do anything with with the intention of harming others. It's just
Yeah,
not a good
but
mindset.
so yeah, I think that the best way to fix toxic communities is to lead by example and let it be understood loud and clear as the community, not necessarily even the people in charge, people running the show. The community needs to make it loud and clear that certain behaviors aren't acceptable. And it's really the difficulty is it's hard to get a lot of people on board with that, because a lot of people will just be like, it's not worth dealing with. Acknowledging it will only feed the fire, that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
because
And to an extent,
it
it's true,
feels.
but I feel like that's really the best way of handling it, because people will only start doing that stuff a lot when they realize that they can get away with it.
It's because to a lot of people it feels like it's just the norm, and like it's
Yeah,
just what people are used to now, and
well,
that's why
that's what I'm saying, because
it's a
people
lot of
see that
people.
they
A
get
lot of
a
people are afraid of change,
well,
and
yeah,
change, while is a good thing in this scenario, doesn't always feel like a good thing to people because it's just out of their comfort zone. And
yeah.
that's just human nature.
Well, I mean,
Like, none of us like change.
like I said, people see that this sort of stuff is like the people being assholes. Being an asshole is commonplace. So thinking, well, I'm just not gonna do anything about it. And it's just like, no, that stuff's not okay. You gotta stand up for yourself and other people.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, I don't do it as often as I should because I don't want to be bothered and I don't want to get involved with stuff and cause conflict. But I'm absolutely always on the side of the person who is being harassed in these circumstances, right? Or the person
Yeah.
who's having their enjoyment taken away from them. Um, but in DBZ, I was always pretty vocal about that sort of stuff. In a bigger game like Overwatch, I it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just one of those things that we're gonna have to work towards.
Yeah,
I mean, we as a community,
yeah.
because
I
the
hope
two
that
of us
one
can't
day.
do much.
I hope, like, for now, right now, it seems like it's almost impossible to achieve. But I would like to think that it is something that's achievable.
Yeah, and you never know.
Man, you know what's better than having to deal with losers on the internet?
Single player games?
Yeah. How did you know, Star?
How did I know?
It's not like we have a whole thing on this Google Doc about, well, this one particular game, but it
We
also says
have
and
like
other video games.
we have 2 bullet points on this document. I don't know
Neither
what you
of
mean.
No, there's three, four even.
Okay, sorry.
None of which
Episode
I wrote.
3 topic. I forgot that was a bullet point.
Yeah.
But anyways,
No, no, I was
you
talking
were
about the
gonna
viewer
mention
questions. Um, go on, go on.
you were gonna mention so Subnautica fully released recently,
Yeah.
and I haven't personally played it because it's not my type of game. It
I've
looks
been
kind of
enjoying the
interesting.
hecky out of it.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting, and I've seen some videos of people playing it,
I think.
but I'm not too big into survival type games.
Well, I'll start off by
So
saying the game is nothing what
so
I
I
thought it was.
well well let me give my 2 cents on the
Okay,
game
go on, go
first
on,
because
go
I
on,
know nothing about the
go
game.
on, go on.
So
Sorry,
so
I didn't mean to
one thing
interrupt you.
one thing I did notice about this game that I really like is that its water shader is absolutely gorgeous.
It is. It's really nice.
and and as someone who understands how difficult it is to make water, like I applaud Subnautica. That's really impressive.
Well, I mean, I feel like a game based on exploring the ocean, it should kind of have a good water shader, you know?
I mean, sure, but it's pretty, and I
Yeah, it's
appreciate
really
the
nice. It's
aesthetics.
very nice. There are
It's
some
kind of
graphical
like
things that kind of irk me with the game, but the water is not one of them.
there's this game called Steep. I don't know if you've heard of it,
I've not.
but it's like a sports type game, and it's open world and takes place in this like snowy environment, and the snow shader on that is also really pretty. Just the textures on the snow and the reflectivity, they nailed that really well also.
Yeah.
But back to Subnautica.
So I'll start off by saying, well, I've already said it, but I've been enjoying the hecky out of this game. Um, when I bought it, I saw that it was I saw that it was officially. Oh God, I can't speak. I saw that it was officially released, and I really didn't know anything about the game beforehand, but I knew that it was like a popular game. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this and try it. I started playing, and it's very fun. What I will say is the game is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was more in line with, other like crafting survival type games. And there actually is a story to it. It's a very loosely held together story. Like there is direction with it, but it involves a lot of going out and finding things on your own. There's also giant fish that are very scary, which I was not expecting.
Yeah,
Um
I've seen some of that.
so
Another reason why I wouldn't play it, just
well
because
that brings me to
everything spooks me.
I do find the game very scary in some aspects in regards to these fish. It's you know, it's this weird feeling, especially like when I dive down deeper into deeper areas in the game where a lot of the bigger batters live. Um it, I don't want to say like claustrophobic, right? It doesn't really make you feel claustrophobic, but it gives this very, I don't know the word to describe it other than like if you were to physically go swimming and go swim down a little bit, like you kind of get this like this weird sort of sensation, you know? Do you not know?
Uh, I guess.
It's this weird sensation that makes me very tense, and it's not a sensation I necessarily dislike. It certainly adds something to the game, and it's not a sensation that you would normally get from a lot of games, at least in my opinion, a lot of games. So I do like it in that regard. It's very, I guess, immersive is a good way to describe it, because I really feel like I'm in the ocean, swimming around, narrowly evading all these creatures that could, kill me.
Yeah.
Um,
The ocean's always fascinated me, and just like not knowing what's further down has always been interesting.
that I think that's a good way of describing it. You have this, you don't know what's further down, and it's alluring. Like it draws you in, but at the same time, it gives you um this like suspense, you know?
Yeah, it's just like you're just not sure what to expect.
Yeah. One thing that I do know is in the game that I haven't encountered yet, because I spoil things for myself all the time. Um,
Well, don't spoil it for me in case I ever do want to play the game.
I was just gonna say there might be a creature that is somewhat spidery in appearance.
Okay, well, I guess I'm definitely not playing the
No, no,
game.
I think it's only in like one specific area of the game, and it's kind of far along.
So one thing about me is that I am terrified of spiders.
Every time I try and suggest a game to Star, I'm like, "Oh, you should play this.
I
You should play this." She's like,
Yeah, the
"I'm
first
pretty
thing
sure
I
that game has
ask
spiders in
is
it," or she
yeah.
asks. Does it have
I'll like
spiders in it?
pretty much with like any game suggestion, I have to ask if there's spiders
Yeah,
because they're just awful.
I remember telling Star that she should play Skyrim, and she was like, "That game has spiders in it." I was just like,
Yeah, I
"Oh
was like,
yeah, I
no.
guess it does."
And so like I've skipped out on games like Ori and the Blind Forest, which I think I really would have enjoyed,
Oh, didn't
but
I
there's like
recommend
an
that to you as
entire
well? Or no,
probably,
I
but
probably didn't, cause I didn't start playing that until after seeing Cap stream it.
no, I had known about the game and
Yeah.
it looked gorgeous, and I watched people play it, but
Hmm.
once they got to that spider area, I couldn't watch. I
Did you
had to
watch me play it?
no, I skipped when you played through the spider area.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember the spider area that well. What I do
No,
remember
there's like
very
a
well
spider
about that
nest
game,
area.
I kind of remember it, I guess. What I do remember
Yeah,
very well,
I flat out skipped it.
what I remember very well about the game is like at the end of each area, there's that kind of timed segment. Timed is I use the word timed loosely. It's like water rising or something like that. Those were very memorable.
Yeah, I remember. That was cool. But
Um,
like that's one of those games I would have enjoyed playing,
yeah.
but I can't bring myself to get through that area. So
Like, what is it about spiders? Actually,
I mean,
go on with.
they're just gross, and
They are.
I don't know. I have arachnophobia, so it's
I
just
don't like spiders
terrifying to me.
either. I don't mind them in video games, but I will talk about. I don't know if it was like a
The
dream or what.
the well, the only spiders I'm okay with that I've stumbled across are the ones in Don't Starve Together.
Okay, well they're
But
cute
the
spiders.
Spider Queen I haven't seen, and I'm not willing to see
Oh
that.
yeah,
So no, no thanks.
spider queens are fun.
Yeah, no thanks. Nope.
Um, I do have a story regarding spiders. It's not a terrible story.
I don't know if I want to hear
It's
it.
actually from last night.
I really don't know if I
Not
want to hear
was it
it.
last night? No, 2 nights ago. It was like 5 in the morning after I went to bed, and I don't know if I was dreaming or what, but I saw like a giant spider on my sheets, which wasn't actually there, which leads me to
Oh
believe I
god.
was dreaming or just hallucinating, one of those two. And I freaked out, and I'm pretty sure I screamed, like physically screamed.
I'd probably just start crying because I don't scream. I don't know if I know how to scream.
I
As weird as it
don't know.
sounds.
I don't know that I know how to scream either. I'm not a very loud person, and I don't
But you
think my
just said
voice
you
is.
screamed.
I say screamed. It was more of like an ah, but very loud.
So scream.
I suppose.
A loud yelling?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway, that's what happened to me regarding spiders.
Yeah, that's awful. No thanks.
I know there was another game I mentioned to you where you're like, I'm pretty sure that has spiders.
There's a lot of great games that have spiders. It's unfortunate.
Would you play Skyrim if there was a mod that turned all the spiders into something else?
Isn't there already a mod
There
that
probably
turns?
is. I know there's a
Pretty
mod
sure
that
there
turns
is.
the dragons into Thomas the Tank, and it's great.
I mean, had you asked me like a few years ago, I would have said yes, but I don't have the time currently.
Yeah,
And there's
I get
so
that.
many good games that I wish I could play that I just flat out don't have the time for.
I get that.
And it sucks. It's like I know like Civilization 6 I have now, and I wish I could play it,
It's
but
fun. I don't know. See, I don't know
it's
if you would like that
it's
kind
so
of game though.
long.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
very
those
time
games. I just
consuming.
don't have the time to play them.
Um,
Like I played a lot of Civilization 5, and I like
I was
strategy
not aware of
games.
that.
Were you really not?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked to you about it before.
Yeah, I played a good portion of that, and I played a lot of board games. I love board games, and
Yeah,
just
board
like
games are great.
games that require a lot of thinking are just fun.
Yeah, I like a flex in my brain. Although I don't know,
So,
do artists have brains? I'm just kidding.
wow, you've just
I'm just
offended
kidding.
so many artists.
I'm just kidding, Star. I'm saying that
But
as a STEM major.
no, I know, but what was I gonna say? I hate playing board games with my family because my brothers are just so much better than me. But I remember I was so used to playing against them that I was playing back in the day with like Cap
Yeah.
and someone else who I won't name.
Okay. I think I know who you're talking
I'm
about, but
sure,
go on.
yeah, you know who I'm talking
Go on.
about. And I remember we were playing Settlers of Catan, and I kicked their butts. I felt bad. But for a while, that was a quote on Cap Street. I don't know if it still is.
I don't know either. Do
But
you know the board game Mousetrap? Everybody has to know about that game, right?
yes.
I don't think I've ever, I like we have it at my house. I don't think I've ever actually played that game. I always
No,
used to just
I.
put the put the thing together.
Yeah, you just kind of build it and then play with the contraption. That's
Yeah.
how I've always played it.
It was
I've never
dumb. It was
actually
dumb though
played it.
because the boots on mine actually broke.
Oh.
So we have this dumb tape on it, and yeah, it doesn't actually work. You have to move the thing that the boot does by yourself.
Yeah, ours
Oh
was
well.
in pretty good condition. Have you ever played Agricola?
Nope. Never even heard of it.
Well, that's a pretty good thinking game,
I
but
like thinking
I've never
games.
been able to beat my brothers at that ever, and it's frustrating because I just want to win one game. That's all I ask.
I like doing Sudoku. It's not a board game, but it's thinking. Thinking game.
Yeah, but that's an easy thinking game.
I mean, depends. Are you doing the easy ones or the hard ones?
The
I
hard
actually
ones,
I actually
it's
don't
still
like doing the
easy
hard ones because
to an extent.
I don't like making notes on things.
Well, the issue with the hard ones is that there's a lot of guessing, and you have to write
Yeah,
little numbers in
I
the
don't
corners.
like doing that because it makes everything look sloppy.
Not if you write really small.
Yeah, but it makes everything look sloppy.
No, it doesn't.
I like to have one number in the box so there's no source of confusion.
Then just write with pencil and then erase it later.
Yeah, then it looks gross.
Maybe you. I don't know what you do. It's fine for me. What other board games do you like?
Um,
Have you ever played Boss Monster?
I've never heard of that.
Dang it. You don't know any of these
I'm pretty,
great board games?
I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to board games. I like me some Trivial Pursuit, some backgammon.
Okay, so not the extent of strategy board game that I play.
No, Cranium's
So
fun.
I'm
Cranium's
assuming you don't know of Lords
fun.
of Waterdeep either.
Nope.
Alright. We're gonna open up
Oh,
Tabletop Simulator
my
one
favorite
day.
board game is Board Game Online.
Yeah, okay.
What? Come on,
Board Game Online's fun,
it is.
but
We should play that again
it's
sometime.
not. Yeah, we should get some people together to play that. But it's not like super
It's not
strategy.
really a board game.
Yeah, it's not a board game. It's the thought that counts.
Yeah. It's all about the
But
giving,
yeah.
not the receiving, which is why it always pisses me off when you won't accept my gifts, Star.
Yeah, you can keep your dirty gifts.
I'm pretty sure you accepted
um,
what I gave you for Christmas on Steam. Did I give you anything? I don't remember.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But what was I gonna say? But yeah, we should play some tabletop games.
Yeah.
I'll show you some of these board games at some point.
I still want to get people together to do a U Realms campaign, but first we need to find 5 people for that. Then one of them has to be GM, and I don't know
Are you
people.
gonna GM?
I've never GM'd for anything before, so I don't know if I necessarily would. If only because of that.
I mean,
See,
you have to start somewhere, right?
yeah. I know like Cream. Cream. Good old Cream. We definitely weren't talking about him before we started this podcast. Um I mean that in a good way, Cream. We were discussing plans for playing Overwatch. Man, it's all coming full circle today. And Cream was involved. Anyway, I know I've talked about it with Cream, and he said that he could GM. Which I wouldn't like pressure him to do that if he didn't want to, but
I mean, if you really need a GM, I can try. I
yeah,
don't know how good I'd be,
yeah,
but I've always been kind of interested in that. It's just time. That's
yeah,
the big issue.
yeah. I think that's the biggest thing with doing a campaign like that, or any sort of tabletop role playing type thing. I shouldn't just, I shouldn't just, leave that make them Ignore me.
Right,
I
we
don't know
didn't
what I
even
don't know what the
explain
heck
what
I'm
U realms
saying.
was.
What?
We didn't explain what U realms was.
It was made by somebody that we've mentioned in the first podcast, Robert Moran, Rearcar 22. Good old Rob. Um, just a tabletop role playing thing in the same style. Well, it's I would say it's I don't know. Would you say it's looser than like Dungeons and Dragons and that sort of stuff? Like it's not
I'd
as
say I'd say it's in the same vein.
well. In the same vein, yes, but I mean in terms of like stats and all that, it's much not as complicated.
Probably. I haven't
I've never played
personally
Dungeons and
played
Dragons.
standard Dungeons and Dragons.
But it's a tabletop role playing thing. So, well, I should say it's a show. U Realms Live is where the primary place where this happens. At least as far as Rob is concerned. And it's him and a couple other people. Sometimes the cast rotates a bit.
Yeah, it's
Um,
been rotating a lot
yeah.
this season, I think. But
Well,
I
it's
haven't
this
been
has been
able
a
to
long
watch it.
season as well.
Yeah.
Long in the same amount of episodes, probably, but long as in a lot of time between episodes. But it's a show that they put on every whenever they decide to put it on at this point.
Generally on Saturdays, right?
Well, yeah, it's on Saturdays, but like, I was getting more in line with like, oh, is it every week? Is it every month?
Oh yeah, because it's been busy.
Yeah.
So.
But it's really funny. Those guys are super great to watch. Yeah, that's a yeah.
Yeah, that's our
Oh, and I should also say like
unsponsored content
it's an
of this episode.
it's entirely in a universe that they've constructed themselves.
Yeah, the lore is interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, go check out U Realms, unsponsored content.
yeah. They didn't pay us for this. I don't know if they would pay us for that.
No.
Probably
We
not.
don't need to.
No, they really don't. But they're super
And
talented, and you should absolutely give them a look if you're interested in that sort of stuff. And if
yeah,
you're
for
not, that's
sure.
fine. If you're not, you should still give them a look anyway, because you might find something you really enjoy.
It's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, like those guys
Right.
deserve the views.
For Lime, nobody watches our podcast.
Zip watches our podcast.
The people that watch our podcast already watch U Realms.
Well, Zip watches our podcast.
Zip watches U Realms.
Zip watches our podcast.
Zip watches U Realms.
Star.
Okay. Speaking of Zip,
Thank you.
viewer question. I just wanted to see how long you would say that. So our one and only viewer question.
Our
is
one and
from
only
the
viewer.
Fabulous Zip.
Nah, there's a couple other viewers. I know this because
So
they
we say.
commented on a couple videos.
Yeah, well, there's
All
Cap,
two of them.
but-
Oh, Cap is caught up. He was talking
Yeah,
to me.
he's only caught up because I mentioned the podcast to
Yeah.
him, and he was like, "Oh, you guys started the podcast?"
I asked him if he
told you.
if he heard us talking about him.
Yeah, only because that was only after I mentioned, "Hey,
Yeah.
do you watch our podcast?" And he was like, "What? You guys actually started with episodes?" I'm like, and he followed our Twitter and everything. He just doesn't look.
Yeah.
But-
Well, that's Cap. We love you,
All right,
Cap.
so Zip's question.
Man, we're
for
giving
this week
Cap a lot
was-
of exposure here.
Yeah, let's stop.
I feel like
Screw you,
we should
Cap.
have him pay us for this.
Ugh.
Anyway, go on.
Alright, Zip's question from this week was: your mission is to destroy the other person. You each have the choice between 200 giant snapping turtles and one handgun with unlimited ammunition. Which do you choose, and how will you destroy your co-caster?
Snapping turtles.
So I was thinking about this, right?
I was not.
And there's a lot of loopholes here. First
Well,
off,
How big
he
are the
doesn't
snapping turtles?
he doesn't really tell us what the environment is for this fight. He
Turtles
doesn't tell us.
Okay,
He
go on.
doesn't tell us if we can both choose the same. Or any
That was what I was thinking when I first read this. If
So-
one person has to have one and the other person has to have the other.
So alright, let's say you say 200 giant snapping turtles. I'll
Yes.
take the handgun. Sure.
Okay.
Unlimited ammunition. But the setting is a cliff, and I am on the top of that cliff, and below me are the 200 snapping turtles.
Yeah.
Done. Easy.
Or what if you're in the water?
Oh I mean, that's fine too, but the goal is
Snapping
to destroy
turtles are
the
gonna
other
ruin
person,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the goal is to destroy the other person.
Yeah, but you're not gonna destroy me if I'm below the cliff.
You're implying my handgun isn't rigged with these fantastic scopes where I can actually see you?
Yeah, but I can just run away. Also, you're at a distance still. Sorry, no
Okay,
offense.
so
I don't think
so
you're that accurate with a handgun.
you don't know that.
Have you ever used a handgun?
You don't know. Have I?
I don't know. Have you? I sure haven't.
Besides, like, Zip doesn't mention if we're allowed any modifications, right? So for all you know, this could be the best handgun that has ever existed.
All right, so my snapping turtles have wings, mechanical
Okay, that's
wings.
fine.
What are you gonna
I don't
do
have to
against
shoot the
200?
snapping turtles. The goal is to destroy
So I'll
your
use them as a
procaster. I can
shield.
kill you first. Alright, then use them as a shield. I have unlimited ammo.
I'm gonna be honest. The only reason I picked the snapping turtles is because I think it's amusing.
I just picked whatever you didn't pick, and I'm just trying to come up with a way to murder you.
Okay.
Okay,
You're not the only person who wants to murder me.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So there's your answer, Zip.
There you go, Zip. I would probably murder Lime.
Oh
Innocent.
yeah, I feel like you would. Maybe we shouldn't meet up in real life. I mean, like, we had that opportunity and somebody had to go and ruin it.
Well, I figured you valued your life.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's it for this podcast. I think it's
Is
been
it?
over an hour.
Wow, Star. You're making a lot of assumptions here.
I am.
Man, Star
Has it
just
been
doesn't
over
want
an
to keep
hour?
doing this. It has. It's been like an hour and 11 minutes, an hour and 12 minutes.
Alright, so that's good enough.
Wow, Star. You're really eager to stop. You're gonna disappoint
I have
the
a headache
viewers.
and I'm calling it a day. So,
Oh, you have a headache? Poor you.
yeah. I've had a headache all day.
Nah, it's all good.
Jerk. so, so in this episode of the podcast, Lime's a bully as per usual.
I've done
Thank you for
nothing
listening.
wrong. Thanks for watching.
And hopefully,
Don't
we'll
forget
see you
to
guys next week.
karate chop that like button.
I hate you.
Sorry, I can't help myself.
Alright, well, I'll see you guys next week if I don't kill Lime. And
I'll
if
see you
this-
guys next week if I
the end
don't
of the
die.
episode, you know what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You
email
probably
us,
wish you don't know what happened though.
email us your podcast questions at
feel like I
galacticstitchespodcast@gmail.com.
I feel like I spent a long time talking about my penis today.
Alright.
Alright, well, that's it, guys. See you next time. Are we done?
Yes.